Right. Many of you will have seen my statement from yesterday that I'm not visiting Alton Towers tomorrow for Nemesis Reborn's opening day. And the nail in the coffin regarding that is the fact that Merlin are, and I'm not even really that ashamed to say this anymore, they're discriminating against disabled guests. And it's all down to what I only briefly referred to in this statement, but I'm doing an entire video on now because it's completely unacceptable, this new Ride Access Pass pre-booking system. Earlier this year, Merlin stated that on the 2nd of March 2024 at 10 AM, they would be launching a new pre-booking system for Ride Access Pass users, essentially enforcing that anyone with a disability or other health condition that requires a Ride Access Pass will have to reserve a space for one prior to the day of their visit, along with pre-booking their ticket, going through the whole Nimbus Disability process. I'll put a link in the description, and then queuing up on the day to get a time card. This system has just gotten ridiculously complicated and stressful. And not only that, the thing with this pre-booking system is they are limiting the number of people who can access Ride Access Pass each day. And that, in my opinion, is essentially saying we're only going to let so many disabled guests visit our parks each day of the season. But the best thing about it is they lied to their disabled guests. They stated, we're going to launch this system at 10 AM. What did they do? They launched it 10 hours earlier at midnight, meaning that when people logged on at 10 AM to reserve a Ride Access Pass, all the Ride Access Passes for Alton Towers opening day on the 16th of March 2024, Nemesis Reborn opening day, had gone. Honestly, it's completely evil. They've willingly taken money, knowingly, out of the bank accounts of disabled people, only to then turn around on the 2nd of March and go, oh, so many of you, yeah, you can't visit the park now even though you've paid. And this means now that I can't go to Alton Towers opening day. Now, don't get me wrong, it did sell out completely, I believe, a few days later, and I did put in the statement and stuff that there were other reasons that I ultimately didn't go as well. I was concerned that it would be a bit overwhelming and stuff, obviously, with it being an opening day and stressful and things like that. But that's not the point. I don't care. The point of the matter is that a company like Merlin Entertainment should be doing everything in their power to provide for every disabled person who wishes to visit any of their theme parks on any given day with the systems and measures that they have in place. And they're not doing that from now on this year. They've done it up till before this year, but not anymore. You know, they've got a Ride Access Pass system that they could easily allow any disabled person to use on any day, but they're choosing not to. What I will give them the tiniest bit of credit for, but it's a drop in the ocean, is the fact that when they received this rightful backlash, they contacted known Ride Access Pass users to offer some sort of compensation. I'm not quite sure for those who booked on the Saturday. I'm not sure whether it was they could rearrange their date free of charge regardless of how many people were already visiting, or whether they just did give them all Ride Access Passes in the end. But I don't care, that's not the point. It's a one-time solution. It doesn't solve the fact that the Ride Access Pass system is completely booked out for every Saturday in March, and it doesn't solve the fact that this system just shouldn't exist in the first place. Now, I am aware that the Ride Access Pass queues were very large throughout the entirety of the 2023 season, and a lot of people complained about that, and they have stated that that's ultimately the reason they've done this. But it's no excuse whatsoever. I've done an entire video in which I highlighted all the ways in which they could trial to fix this system, but they've chosen to take none of my advice whatsoever, or the advice of others. There's no excuse for doing this when they've been letting loads of fast track users through the Smiler queue all the time last year, and barely any Ride Access Pass users. There was an incident at Thorpe Park last year where there was a 50-minute Ride Access Pass queue, and the Ride Access Pass queue didn't move for an entire 20 minutes. Their operations on some of the roller coasters and other rides are shambolic. And that is ultimately, in my eyes, what is contributing to these long wrap queues. So first of all, Merlin, take a look at your operations. Stop selling so much fast track, because we know you love your money. I mean, you've happily taken, what, £120 out of our bank account for me to have an annual pass, but now, because I'm a RAP user and RAP's, yeah. The least you can do, and I do believe Thorpe Park have done this, which I guess it's at least, a start, is increase the price of Fast Track, but sell less of it, so it doesn't affect the queue for everyone else, including Ride Access Pass users, as much. And furthermore, say there was a very short main queue, and a certain Ride Access Pass user couldn't reserve a Ride Access Pass for a given day because the pre-books were sold out. What if that person is unable to access steps that may be in the main queue? Has some sort of mobility condition that affects that. They wouldn't be able to access the main queue regardless. So for such individuals, there's literally no way they would be able to access rides if they couldn't have a Ride Access Pass. Obviously, I've stated that I use a Ride Access Pass, but I've also got a friend who has one who is going to struggle more than I will with these new changes because she is visually impaired. I'm visually impaired as well. She also has a sensory-related condition and mobility difficulties as well. And to top it all off, the Sky Ride's still going to be closed all this year at Alton Towers, so that's another thing on top of the Ride Access Pass system in how Merlin are failing their disabled guests. She's going to find it really difficult, especially to visit Alton Towers this year. So this argument that too many people have RAP and we're going to use that as an excuse to cap the number of people who can use it on any given day, it's just not on. And I can't understand how too many people have it. Like, they're saying that there's been more people in the Ride Access Pass queues in recent years, but they've introduced Nimbus Disability into the equation, who are an independent organisation who give out these access cards with symbols on them indicating someone's access requirements, who use the Equality Act 2010, which Merlin clearly aren't using because that states that disabled people should have equal access to facilities, which they're not allowing. So I'm half convinced they're breaking the law here. And they are incredibly strict. You have to submit specific documentation for each individual requirement, such as queuing and assistance and stuff. I'm not going to show you my access card because it has my unique number on it, but mine has symbols on it for queuing and assistance, and there's a few others as well on it. I can't exactly remember related to the documentation that I submitted for my access requirements. I'm not going to bore you to death with all of that. There'll be a link in the description to the Nimbus Disability process if you want to look into that and what documentation's eligible. The only thing I can think of that would cause a system like this to result in an increase in the number of Ride Access Pass users is that Merlin aren't paying attention to the specific symbols on the access cards and are giving out Ride Access Passes to people with symbols that have nothing to do with queuing or ride access at all. I feel sorry for the guest services staff who are going to have to deal with all the complaints that this system is inevitably going to get, all the kick-offs and stuff, because they have been completely screwed over. And if you are a disabled person who isn't happy with this, then please do not take it out on the guest services staff or whoever's distributing the Ride Access Passes at any given park, because it's not their fault. It's the idiots high up in this company who've made this decision. I don't even know who's made it, but I desperately want to know. The Alton Towers entrance plaza tomorrow morning is going to be absolutely carnage. And honestly, if you're a staff member working at Alton Towers tomorrow, I completely feel for you and I wish you all the best. Disney has an effective Ride Access Pass system and they partner with Nimbus Disability, and if Disney can manage it, there's no excuse as to that Merlin can't, because they will have far more people using a system like this. But guess what? Their operations are better, so they can cope with it. I was not stood in any physical queue at Disney when using a system like this for more than 15 minutes. And they use a very similar virtual queuing system to the Merlin parks. And this is going off my visit to Disneyland Paris back last year in 2023. If you are someone who uses a Ride Access Pass and you are going to Alton Towers Nemesis Reborn opening day tomorrow, let me know how you get on. And I'll be going to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, I'm pretty sure. a park that allows everyone with, well, it's called an easy pass there, to use one, and allows any number of disabled guests to access their facilities. If anyone high up at Merlin is watching this video, or any of the park divisional directors, I don't know, Bianca and stuff, who, I don't know, it's probably not their issue, this, be higher up than that, then, I don't know, feel free to reach out and message me, then we can discuss this. But for now, to see my opening day from a better park that I certainly recommend you visit in 2024 over any of these Merlin parks, especially if you're someone who requires a ride access pass or similar, then check out this video on the right side of your screen. And for more things theme park related in the UK and beyond, be sure to click the icon in the centre of your screen to subscribe, and I hope my next video will be much more positive. Thank you.